Hello students, welcome to week 7 for PRL 550. This week we are looking at developing the PR plan and how it relates to our critical assignment. You'll see here that we're reading chapter 11 of the course text as well as watching a video on looking at branding and kind of the components that make up branding and why that is so important. We have our critical assignment, which is due on Sunday, as well as discussion board number 7 that has original posts due on Friday and reply posts due on Sunday. If you look at the critical assignment, if you look at discussion 7, you'll see that we're looking at and exploring professional organizations related to public relations work and business communicators. You'll see that in the course reading, professional organizations like PRSA and the IABC have rejected suggestions that developing formal licensing programs for PR practitioners should be required. However, do you think that they should reconsider this? And if you were a member of them, would these organizations, would you support the effort to develop such a requirement and programming related to that, even if it meant the organization would have to expand its office staff and increase annual memberships? Now, it's important to keep in mind as you look at this that PRSA does offer APR. APR is an accreditation in public relations. It is not a requirement, nor is it a formal licensure program that requires you to have to work in public relations work or as a practitioner. Particularly though, it does provide you with a designation through PRSA, the organization, that says that you are accredited and have shown to score exemplary in the work of public relations. There are a number of requirements that go into this in terms of interviews, as well as working in the industry for 5 years and taking a very rigorous test in public relations. This is not a formal or required licensing to work in public relations, but it is something that in the industry is often referred to as reaching that middle to more experienced level in your career. So keep that in mind as you prepare your discussion this week for this idea of having formal licensure programs that people have to go through and what the benefits or negative aspects of that could be. Looking at the critical assignment this week, you'll notice that you have to include all of the components of what we've been working on this term. So essentially what you're doing is you're taking everything from all of the PR campaign activity assignments 1 through 6 and compiling them into a formal campaign PR plan. There is a sample in week 1 and in week 7 that clearly shows you what some of the aspects of how this plan should look from a visual perspective. If you read through the plan, you'll notice it doesn't have everything that's required in your PR plan. That's because it wasn't necessarily developed for this course. It was utilized in another course, but as an example of student work and exemplary work in terms of the design and the layout and how the plan should look from a visual perspective. That's why I submitted it in this course as a sample. I felt that it would be valuable for you to see what I'm looking at in terms of how your campaign should look, what the visual aspects of the campaign should contain, and how it should flow in terms of design. The content itself isn't necessarily what I submitted it as an exemplary piece for you to view as. It was more of the visual aspect of it. So you know what I'm looking for your campaign to look like when you submit it. In a nutshell, also what I'm looking for in your critical assignment is that you have looked at everything that I've provided in terms of feedback for each of the following points: company overview, situation analysis, competitor analysis, secondary research, goals and objectives, tactics, implementation, as well as evaluation plan. That company overview could also be a campaign overview if you were picking a cause or a topic that wasn't necessarily tied to a company. So if you pick something like healthy eating, that would be a campaign overview as opposed to a company overview if you were, for example, looking at Coca-Cola. Do keep in mind when you work through this, I want to see if I've given you any feedback in any of those areas, that you have taken that feedback to heart, you've processed it in some way that was relevant for your campaign, and I can see that you made changes in a way that were relevant for your campaign based off of the feedback given. The reason why we've broken up this assignment to be completed over 6 weeks and then you take a week to combine it and put it into an actual plan is that in prior terms we found that students provided feedback saying that that would be more beneficial. So in the past we used to have this assignment completed in week 7 without formal assignments tied to it throughout the term. So it can come off as being confusing to some in some regards, but really what it is we've chunked the assignment so you're completing bit by bit parts throughout the term. I've given you feedback along the way, and then you have the chance to submit the entire plan as your critical final exam assignment for the course, so you have ample time to make changes and fully understand what's expected of it. You'll find that sometimes this not necessarily is redundant, but can somewhat seem overwhelming or very comprehensive. That's also because we've found in doing our research with other students and PR firms and having them weigh in on the role of what this assignment should look like to prepare you for a master's degree in public relations, is that we need to have it be as comprehensive as possible. And so one of the aspects of this in being public relations work at the graduate level is that it is a fully developed campaign that could actually be implemented when you submit it to the course for grading. In that sense, we are looking for fully developed overviews of the campaign or the company, a fully developed situation analysis, as well as competitor analysis, secondary research, goals and objectives, actual samples tied to your tactics, a fully developed implementation plan that can be deployed with daily points for you on that, as well as an evaluation plan. It's important to keep that in mind, that we're no longer looking at this from a theoretical or an overview perspective, but we're actually doing the work. And that's really what the whole purpose of it is within this assignment, is spending this week going through everything you've worked on this semester, thinking about how you could load this assignment into a plan for it to be deployed amongst anybody that were to pick it up and work on it. With that, you should see that this is starting to flow a little better. You can spend some time thinking about it from that perspective instead of developing each thing along the way this week. As we look through it, I want to review some things this week as we work on developing and compiling our plan into a full PR plan template. We need to review what PR is as a management function. Remember, one of the primary roles of public relations is to manage a company's reputation and help build public support for its activities. You will find in today's business environment has become so competitive that public approval can no longer be assumed. It must be earned, and it must be earned continuously, especially with social media and digital media tools. So really, looking at public relations, we can find that sometimes it's widely misunderstood and misused. Part of the confusion is really due to the fact that PR covers so many different things in such a broad range of activities. Depending on the context and one's viewpoint, it can be a concept, a profession, a management function, or a practice. So when you look at businesses and see how they utilize public relations, you can see that this can often be very confusing. It's important to know that PRSA defines public relations as the strategic management function of relationships and communications that individuals and organizations will have with other groups for the sole purpose of creating mutual goodwill between all of them. We've really discussed all of this already, and we already know how this benefits it. So in our campaign, we need to see this come out and come to life. In PR terminology, we really look at these groups of people as the organization's public, and the goal of PR is to develop and maintain goodwill with most of them, if not all of their publics. Failure to do so may mean loss of customers and revenues, time loss dealing with complaints or lawsuits, or loss of respect, as well as the organization's brand equity and ability to secure financing, make sales, and expand its businesses. When we see it from that perspective, we can see that this management discipline encompasses a wide range of activities. The PR plan is one aspect of it. We're building awareness about a company, a topic, or something through this plan. So we need to see that it comes out that we're showing goodwill towards our public for this campaign, and ensuring that we're maintaining it within all aspects of our public. Because of the powerful effect of public opinion, it's really important to see that companies and organizations must consider the breadth of impact of their actions. Thus, a brand awareness campaign can help all aspects, internal, the employee side of it, external, the actual publics and audiences, really understand what the effect of public opinion can be in terms of changing our awareness of the brand, as well as the opinion of the brand. It really holds true for the major policy decisions within a company, changes in management or pricing, introduction of new products, changes in distribution methods, taglines. Each of these decisions affect different groups in different ways, and effective public relations channels and groups can channel opinions towards the mutual understanding and positive outcomes of things, such like a brand awareness campaign we're working on at this point in the course. So it's important to know that our tactics, the PR activities we're working on within the campaign, offer greater credibility. Advertising offers precision control to help with communicating this from a PR perspective. For example, publicity is communication that's not openly sponsored or paid for. Many PR practitioners perceive and receive these communications in the forms of news articles, editorial interviews, or feature stories after the messages have been reviewed and edited and filtered by the media through tactics created in a campaign. Since the public thinks such messages are coming from the media rather than the company, it trusts them more readily. So for building credibility and awareness, public relations is usually the better approach. For example, Netflix has benefited heavily from favorable press reviews during its heady growth years. And how did we know where exactly those reviews came from? So it's important to keep that in mind, that PR professionals take a different view. With a background often in journalism or communication in some sense rather than marketing, they believe PR should be the umbrella process. We think companies should use PRs to maintain the relationship with all publics, including consumers. I found this quote in Insider PR magazine that said, "Public relations is a management discipline that encompasses a wide range of activities, from marketing and advertising to investor relations and government affairs. Public relations is a management function that provides a different view, often looking at PR as providing goodwill towards all of its parties affected within any aspect that they work on." So it's important to keep that in mind as we move through this and we kind of finalize and formalize our campaign. You'll see that the brand awareness campaign we've been working on is a campaign that's designed to build awareness about a topic, cause, movement, or brand to a desired public. The overall thing we want to accomplish in this is that we need to increase the public's knowledge about the topic or the company. Our tactics and initiatives related to this campaign are designed with the goal that the public should be more aware about whatever that topic may be by the end of the campaign. I've included some samples here that I showed in week 1 about the exemplary design and a PR plan. You see the cover sheet here as well as the table of contents and then a snapshot of what some of the pages look like within the campaign. This is how you would present it if you took it to the board or you were to explain this to any investors or anything like that, or the actual team that would be working on deploying the campaign. So it's very, very important that you design it, not necessarily in the form of an APA paper, but with a little more visual aspects to it, and has a little more appealingness in terms of just a standard paper we utilize that we write in APA format. To recap, I want to let you know we are reading chapter 11 this week. We're watching one video on branding and why it's important. We're completing our critical assignment, which is due on Sunday. We also are completing our discussion board number 7, which is due Friday, with reply posts due on Sunday as well. It's very important that you take a look to week 8. Week 8 has very tight deadlines. Everything is due by day 5 of week 8, which is on Friday of that week. So do make a note of that as we work through many of the things this week. If you have any questions, please reach out. I look forward to going through your projects and pray you all have a blessed week.